Hi everyone, my name is Maya, and I used to be the girl who counted every penny twice before spending it. But first, please like and subscribe because what happened to me next will completely blow your mind. One minute I was struggling to pay rent on my tiny apartment, and the next minute I woke up in a mansion with no memory of how I got there. But here's the crazy part. Apparently, I was now worth millions of dollars, and I had absolutely no idea how that happened. Let me take you back to where this insane story begins. I was working 3 jobs just to survive. Morning shifts at a coffee shop, afternoons cleaning offices, and evenings waiting tables at a diner. My biggest luxury was buying the store brand cereal instead of the generic stuff. I lived paycheck to paycheck, and even then, I was always behind on something. My car was held together with duct tape and prayers, and my phone screen had been cracked for so long that I'd forgotten what it looked like without those spider web through it. That lines running Tuesday started like any other terrible day. I was running late for my coffee shop shift because my alarm clock had died sometime during the night. As I rushed down the stairs of my crummy apartment building, I slipped on something wet and went tumbling down the entire flight. The last thing I remember was my head hitting the concrete floor at the bottom, and then everything went black. When I opened my eyes again, I thought I was dreaming. I was lying in the most comfortable bed I'd ever felt, surrounded by silk pillows and Egyptian cotton sheets. The ceiling above me wasn't the water-stained disaster I was used to seeing. Instead, it was painted in elegant gold and cream patterns that probably cost more than my entire yearly salary. Sunlight was streaming through massive floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked what looked like a private garden with a fountain in the center. I sat up slowly, my head pounding like someone was using it as a drum. That's when I noticed my reflection in the mirror across the room. I was wearing the most expensive-looking silk pajamas I'd ever seen, and there was a bandage wrapped around my forehead. But what really freaked me out was that I couldn't remember anything after falling down those stairs. A woman in a crisp black uniform walked into the room carrying a silver tray with breakfast on it. She smiled at me warmly and said, "Good morning, Miss Maya. I'm so relieved to see you're finally awake. The doctor said it might take weeks for you to recover from your accident." I just stared at her, completely confused. Who was this woman, and why was she calling me Miss Maya like I was some kind of royalty? "Excuse me," I said, my voice coming out all scratchy. "Where exactly am I? And who are you?" The woman looked concerned and set the tray down on the nightstand. "Don't you remember me? I'm Margaret, your personal assistant. You're in your bedroom at the estate. You've been unconscious for 2 weeks after your fall. Personal assistant, estate? What kind of alternate universe had I woken up in?" Margaret handed me a glass of what looked like fresh orange juice and continued talking. "The doctors warned us that you might have some memory issues after the head injury. They said it could be temporary, but we should be prepared for anything." She pulled out her phone and showed me a photo. "This might help jog your memory." I nearly choked on my orange juice when I saw the picture. It was me, but not the broke, exhausted version of me I remembered. In the photo, I was wearing a designer dress that probably cost more than my old car, standing next to a red sports car with a huge smile on my face. "That's not me," I whispered, staring at the photo in disbelief. But it was definitely my face, just somehow transformed into this glamorous version I'd never seen before. Margaret nodded sympathetically and sat down in the chair beside my bed. "The doctors said this kind of confusion is completely normal. Your brain is still healing from the trauma." She pulled out a tablet and started showing me more photos. There I was at fancy charity events, shaking hands with people in expensive suits. Another picture showed me signing what looked like important documents in an office that screamed money. In every single photo, I looked confident and sophisticated, like I belonged in that world. But I felt like I was looking at a stranger who just happened to have my face. "How did I get all this money?" I asked, gesturing around the ridiculously fancy room. Margaret's expression grew serious, and she glanced toward the door like she was making sure nobody was listening. "That's actually a complicated story. About 6 months ago, your great-aunt Vivian passed away unexpectedly. She left you everything in her will, the estate, the businesses, all of it. You inherited a fortune worth over $50 million. My jaw dropped so hard I thought it might hit the floor. $50 million. I didn't even know I had a great Aunt Vivian. My family had always been broke, just like me. How was it possible that some mysterious relative had been sitting on that kind of money without anyone knowing about it? But here's where things get really weird, Margaret continued, lowering her voice. Your aunt's lawyer, Mr. Harrison, has been calling every day since your accident. He says there are some urgent papers you need to sign, and he's been getting pretty pushy about it. Something about finalizing the inheritance before it gets tied up in legal complications. Looking back now, waking up rich but with no memory was just the beginning of the craziest chapter of my life. Sometimes losing everything you thought you knew about yourself is exactly what you need to discover who you're really meant to be. If you want to know what happened with Mr. Harrison and those mysterious papers, make sure you're subscribed because trust me, this story gets even wilder from here.